Welcome everyone to today. We are doing a special stream. We are going to be ranking every game, every game that we have, that I have played this year. Remind me if I missed any. Every game that's here, we have streamed it. Probably a YouTube video. Some of them do not have YouTube videos. Anyway, let's start this with a game that I completely forgot I played this year, because it was the first game I played in 2023. Metal Gear Solid Revengeance. I forgot I played this game this year. I completely forgot it was this year I played it. It really has been a long time. It was a journey. I liked it. It was pretty good. Not my style of play. I don't really like action type games. Nano Machine Sun, yes, but it was fun. It was memey. Very cool fight scenes, and that was kind of the thing that I liked about it. I like boss rush type of games where you're just trying to get to the next boss, and I did like the boss fights. The boss fights were the highlight of the game, as well as the music. And I'd say that Metal Gear Solid Revengeance deserves an S. I really enjoyed it. I did forget I played it, and I think it was a pretty good game. Fun story. Let's go with that. It's a fun story, and more importantly, the combat's really fun. Except for like one or two bosses that I absolutely hated, but for the most part, I really enjoyed beating the game, and it was a blast. Fun game. Completely forgot I played it though. Next one! Cancer! It's League of Legends. Oh no. Now, I do play League of Legends actually more frequently than I post it, or that I stream. It's kind of like that. It's that game, man, when you oh man, when you have nothing else to do, you kind of just resort to League of Legends, kinda. Look, I play League of Legends. I think it says Season 2. It's really hard for me to forget about it. I've uninstalled the game God knows how many times, and I've installed it right back. So I just can't leave the game right now. And I have friends that play with it right now, so it's kind of like they keep me playing it a little bit. But rather or not, League of Legends is a good game. I think League of Legends is a good game with a terrible community. I hate the community of League of Legends. I think everyone hates the community of League of Legends. It's not the most toxic community I've encountered. There are worse, but it is ever present. But I love League of Legends. It's kind of like that guilty pleasure game. It's like, I love playing League of Legends. And even though every time I stream it and I type in that's going to be a chill stream, I always rage because it's that type of game. But I have fun. Also, it was fun playing the little tournament league. We played an actual tournament this year. It was fun, even though we lost. But at least we won one game, and that game was fabulous. I loved it, and I posted it on YouTube, and it was fun. I'm going to give it an A, and the only reason I don't give it an S because the community is trash. And also 200-year experience in development. I think that's the phrase, right? 200 years experience in development. Right. Or in balancing. Whatever. Oh man, some of the new champions piss me off. Next game, Witcher 3, which was actually the second game I think I played this year. But I didn't finish it. My problem with Witcher 3 is actually more on a technical side. For some reason, although at first it was fine to stream the game, around like after 3 streams, the game just started lagging and I couldn't fix it, and I didn't know what was going on as to why the stream was having lag issues with Witcher 3. And ultimately I just ended up abandoning it because, Corgi's potato can't handle The Witcher. My PC can handle a lot. Like, my PC could handle Baldur's Gate, could handle Elden Ring, everything at max, everything maxed out. The problem was something, and also like my potato my potato PC could handle Witcher 3 maxed out when we started. Like, first 3 streams it was fine, but I don't know what happened. Maybe there was a Windows update, maybe there was some game update that I didn't notice, but it just started lagging during the stream, and I just like, okay, yeah, this is not good quality, And I'll be honest, I stopped playing Witcher, and I don't really feel like playing Witcher again. I'm not really, as I said with Revengeance, I'm not really a fan of action games. Even though Witcher is technically an RPG, there is action elements. But when I do play action, I do prefer fast-paced over slow-paced like Witcher. And as much as the Witcher 3 is like, you know, an RPG, and I do like RPGs, I ultimately don't really care that much about Witcher 3, and I'm going to put it at a rank B. Maybe if I fully played it, I would have a higher opinion of it. But because it was kind of just... I kind of just had to stop it because I couldn't play it as much as I wanted. And I then kind of forgot about it, and I have no desire to go back to it. I kind of just feel like it deserves a B. It probably deserves a higher rank, but from my personal experience, it's going to be a B because... technical issues, let's put it that way. The next game. Oh man, this year was a lot of weird games. I'm surprised at how many Genshin Impact videos I made. I do not remember making that many Genshin Impact videos. I started playing Genshin Impact early this year, mostly because a friend of mine convinced me to try it. And I did try it, and I'll be honest, I did get addicted to Genshin Impact. First 2 months, fantastic. I loved the game, completely addicted. I was actually having issues because I was more busy playing the game offline than I was editing my videos. And my videos started to get behind. So like my first player experience with Genshin was amazing. The problem was after the honeymoon phase happened. After the honeymoon phase was over, and once I was into the daily loop of the gameplay of the game, that's where my experience started to sour. And it started to sour really quickly. As I mentioned, this is the first time I'm going to say it, I'm not a fan of action games, but when I do play them, they have to be fast-paced. And Genshin Impact's combat is fast-paced, except in the daily loop. And the daily loop, and this is my issue with the Genshin Impact, the difficulty of the game. So as you progress in the game, I felt weaker. And not only that I felt weaker, I felt slower. And the reason why I felt slower was because not only were they just increasing the stats, they were just increasing the health of the enemies so that I would have to go through more of it. But they also were adding dumb mechanics like slowing down movement and decreasing energy regeneration, which ultimately made the game that initially is very fast-paced feel very slow-paced. And I was hating that. Because what I hate the most about Genshin Impact is how I felt like whenever I was doing my dailies and grinding, it was just me mashing my keyboard for like an entire hour. And by the end of it, my fingers hurt. Because, dear God, it's just so much mashing the keyboard. And it could just be less time, but because the game artificially makes it harder by just slowing down the pace, it's just, man, I hated it. I think Genshin Impact was really one of those games that the more I played it, the more I hated it. Because of how... you know, it's like all that good stuff in the beginning just slowly goes away, and then you're left with like this husk of a game that's just grindy, annoying, tedious. I also didn't really like the story or the pace of it. I guess the pace is the correct way, right? I didn't like the pace of the story. There was a lot of dumb shit that the game forced me to go through that was also very boring and just whatever. Inazuma. Was it Inazuma? The Japanese island was just... Oh my god. I felt my brain was rotting during the whole fireworks girl and the ice girl storyline that was just irrelevant to the story. So I'm gonna give it... What do I give Genshin Impact though? I still think it deserves a B. I think Genshin Impact ultimately is a decent game, but there are massive flaws with it, and those flaws just make me not want to play the game. So I'm going to give it a B. I like the design of the characters. I think as a gacha, it's perfectly fine. I mean, not just perfectly. I think as a gacha, Genshin Impact is way above average. It is very clearly good, But for me, I have an issue with the type of slow gameplay that it has in the late game, and I just can't stand it. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Path to Nowhere. This is a game that I tried out during Valentine's, and I kind of tried out mostly out of a whim. I didn't know anything about the game. I did actually play it for, I think, half a month, and then I kind of stopped because that's generally how I work with most gachas. I play them for a little while, and then I kind of get bored and I leave, and that's about it. But Path to Nowhere was pretty good. Now, Path to Nowhere is nowhere near as good as Genshin Impact in terms of gameplay. It's a more traditional style of game, closer to Arknights, very close to Arknights. It's a tower defense kind of deal, a kind of gameplay, but with a little bit more sophisticated. But the story is really good. Like I think Path to Nowhere story caught me completely off guard. I was not expecting it to have that good of a story.
This is
I actually do. There's still you know a story is good when there's still stuff in that story that you can't forget. That's kind of like traumatizing. There's a specific character in that story, like really, I did not expect to get that attached, and I'm sad that they left. The world of the living. If you're interested in gachas that have more mature storylines, I would recommend this one. It's also a very different type of gacha, because unlike with most other gachas where every character just universally loves the main character for no reason, just because they're the main character. In Path to Nowhere, it's the opposite. Everyone hates you. And that's funny, because it's funny to see characters that hate you slowly turn around and like you. And that's fun. I like Path to Nowhere. I do think it's a B. I don't think it's as good as Genshin, because Genshin has obviously the superior gameplay, but I definitely don't think Path to Nowhere is on this level just from story alone. And also, you know, it's a tower defense. If you like tower defenses, you're gonna like the Path to Nowhere probably. And I like tower defenses, so it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Limbus Company. Oh man. Limbus Company is a game that I tried. It was also early in the year. I liked Limbus Company, but I had issues with it. I ultimately decided to just abandon it because I just didn't want to waste my time with it. Gameplay-wise, it's very nice. I do think it's a very fun gameplay. Out of most gachas, I think Limbus Company does gameplay decently well. There were a few issues that I didn't really like, but I do remember one thing, and that was that I didn't really care that much about the story. I found Limbus Company to fall in the trying too hard to be edgy kind of side, and I just can't be bothered with those type of storylines. With Library of Ruina and with Limbus Company, I felt a lot of times that the story was trying too hard to be edgy. To me, those moments felt very cringe. It was like, oh, now we're gonna be grotesque because we can. Look at this grotesque picture. Anyway, moving on. And I was like, none of those moments really stuck around. And it was like, Flash, here's a shocking scene that you should watch because it's shocking. Aren't we edgy and shocking? And I was like, okay. I did feel like later stories were better, but definitely in the beginning of the story, I did feel like there was a lot of edginess just for the sake of edginess. My main issue though was the skins. I didn't really care about the skins. I'm not really a fan of like just purely cosmetics. I like owning characters too. And the fact that the game was mostly just skins, I'm just gonna say, the gacha was terrible. I hated the gacha. Not because it was like greedy. I felt the gacha was actually on the opposite, was very free-to-play friendly. But it was just it didn't feel good to gacha. And that was it. The feeling of the gacha was bad. The other part was like the egos being higher rarity was, in my opinion, a dumb decision. Because technically, you should be happier to get an ego, but I never felt happy when I got an ego. In fact, I felt furious whenever I got an ego, because every time I got an ego, it meant that I could have gotten a skin instead. And it just pissed me off whenever I got an ego instead of a skin, because I don't care about the egos, I want the skins. Ultimately, I decided to just abandon it. I don't particularly think it was that amazing. I don't think it's more of a niche game. And it definitely does have issues with some of its maturity, because I don't feel like it's a very mature game. I feel like it's actually a very childish story. that is, you know, covered up with this edginess veil on top of it. But I do feel like a lot of the problem I have with the story is just it feels forced. It feels like it's writers who don't really know maturity trying to make stuff feel mature. Which is also kind of an issue I had with Library of Ruina. I felt like Library of Ruina had a lot of moments like that where it's just... I'm not entirely sure if this is mature or just someone who's trying to be pretend to be mature. And that's kind of why I didn't really care that much about Limbus Company. That isn't to say that Limbus Company is not mature. I do believe that there are a lot of moments where it is mature, but I also feel like there's also a lot of moments where it feels childish with a veil of edginess covering it. You know, kind of like the, ooh, look how bloody I am. See, I'm gore and bloody. Ain't I mature? That's kind of how it feels a lot of times when I went through the story of Limbus Company. But that's about it. I'll give it a C rank, mostly because I have negative memories about Limbus Company. Pokemon Infinite Fusion, it kind of blew up this year, didn't it? I played it fully, I think till the end. It was fun, it was enjoyable. Definitely a lot of fun moments. It was also kind of fun sharing it with friends, because just as I was playing, a couple other friends were also playing it. And it was fun to kind of showcase the weird fusions we were making. I made a lot of fusions with Ralts. Was it Ralts or Loop Bunny? I don't remember. I made a video about, I think it was Loop Bunny, about every fusion available with Loop Bunny. That was kind of funny. I'm gonna put it at rank A. I mean, it's Pokemon. It's a nice little concept, fusions. I had a very enjoyable time playing the game, and will I go back to playing it? I don't really think I am, unless they add like a lot of new content. I know they added a lot of new fusions, but like I don't know if the fusions are worth going back to. There's a lot. There's already maybe in like 2 years or something. Maybe when they finish the game, I'll go back, but not right now. I think I'm fine with the experience I had. Honkai Star Rail, a game that I started playing right after Genshin Impact. Look, I like Honkai Star Rail. I think Honkai Star Rail was the best gacha game that came out this year by far. And I love Honkai Star Rail, but I don't play Honkai Star Rail. I played it until I got Kafka. And then I stopped. I think the reason I stopped playing Honkai Star Rail is because I put in my head that my objective was to get Kafka. And the moment I got her, I feel like my brain was like, okay, I won the game. Close it. And that's kind of how it's been. Another reason why I stopped playing Honkai Star Rail is because I don't like the waiting. I don't want to be fed every few months like a little crumbles of story. I much prefer just go through the entire story in one run, like Belobog. Belobog was fantastic. I miss Belobog. That was a fantastic story. But I just don't feel like playing it yet. I feel like I should wait a little bit longer, wait for it to accumulate a little bit more story, and then I'll go back and just check out what's new. I know I'll be behind because I haven't been grinding daily, but I just prefer it that way because at least I get to experience the story, the new story, all in one go instead of just going through crumbles. That said, I'm gonna put Honkai Star Rail at S. Even though I do have criticisms towards the story, I think the story is amazing. Obviously, FGO has better. Still the best gacha game that came out this year. And if you like games that are turn-based combat, I would advise you to try out Star Rail because it really is a good game. Next one, Elden Ring. I played Elden Ring for the first time this year, and it was a blast. Kinda. The first half. Okay, maybe not the first half. The first 80% of the game was fun, and then the last 20% was miserable. I played it for the first time. I loved Elden Ring. I understand why people love Elden Ring. Very fun, very enjoyable, and the boss fights are out of the world. However, I don't really like the end part of the game. I feel like a lot of the end bosses are just very annoying and tedious and what's it called? What's the word for it? Gimmick. I feel like a lot of the late bosses are just gimmicky. They have this little gimmick and you have to play around it, and if you don't, you get fucked, and if you do, you fuck them. and that's it. And I don't really find that feast or famine type of gameplay to be that fun. I don't really like that, you know, Maladia, the sword of Mikkola or whatever, was so hard to fight until I switched my weapon and she literally became a joke. And you know, that kind of gimmickry where the moment you play into it, you just slap the boss like he doesn't exist, is not very fun for me. But I still think that overall my experience with Elden Ring was very much enjoyable, and I'm gonna give it an S. I know why people like Elden Ring. I like Elden Ring, and I can't wait for the DLC to try out the DLC because it's gonna be very fun. Elden Ring was very good, very enjoyable. I loved it. Oh god, here we go. Oh man, this year, another mistake was made. Fate Grand Order. I came back to Fate Grand Order this year, and I regret it. Back to the old mistresses. Yep, there you go. Fate Grand Order. What do I have to say to Fate Grand Order? I stopped playing Fate Grand Order. I don't really remember why. Barghest came out. I do like Barghest. Barghest is best dog. And I came back to the game, and the goal was to just get Barghest and move on. However, someone in the chat told me that I could get some more gacha resources if I play the story. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Might as well play the story. And like a dumbass, instead of skipping it, I decided to read the story and I got addicted. It was an Olympus story, I think. Yeah, it was Olympus. And I kind of just got addicted to it, and I kind of just came back to FGO. I still haven't played Avalon, though. Well, look, we'll play Avalon next year. Next year, I promise. Next year, we'll play Avalon. But how is FGO as a game? As much as I would like to give it an S rank, just so that I could cope with the fact that I came back for a game that's not even an S rank. FGO has issues. It's a very old game, and you can tell that it's a very old game. And coming from Star Rail into FGO, there was definitely some things that I was like, oof, man, this game has issues. Obviously, I can't even begin to explain how bad the gacha is. Like, the gacha rates and all that are just so bad. I cannot give with good conscience FGO an S rank, so I'll give it an A. And the reason why I can't give it an S rank is because whenever I look at FGO, the first thing that comes to mind is arcade. And I think, man, we could have had an FGO.2 instead of arcade, but instead we got arcade. And it's already dead and forgotten. And that's my issue with FGO. I feel like if FGO had the gameplay quality of Star Rail, you know, 3D models, and the story was also voiced line with 3D models, it would be the best gacha game in the market by a mile. But the fact that it's so old-fashioned is just like, man, I can't give this game an S rank. I just can't. The competition's way too good. I don't know, it's fine. The story's good. And that's about it. The character's also very nice. I like the characters and the story. Gameplay, though, a little bit boring, but that's fine. You know, it's an old game, and it kind of shows. Oh man, the other Fate that I tried this year. Fate Samurai Remnant. I don't like this game. I didn't like the game at all. I think the game was trash. I really do think the game is trash. Now, I'll be honest. I did enjoy the first playthrough. The first playthrough was decent. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Sure, there were a few moments I was like, what the F is going on? But for the most part, I had fun and I liked it. The second playthrough, though, oh boy. That's where it really went bad. And it went bad so fast and so deep. Oh god, the game went from enjoyable to trash so quickly. I really did not enjoy playing the second playthrough. I found the gameplay to be repetitive and boring. I found the story to be so just bad. So many plot holes. So much issues with the writing that you could tell this was written by people that have never watched or read a Fate story at all. They have no idea what servants are. They have no idea what servants do. It's annoying. It pissed me off. I hated it. But is it worth a D rank? I don't think the game deserves a D rank. I think if you're just playing it for the first time and you're only playing it once, it's a perfectly fine game. But the moment you have to play it a second time and see the horribleness that the game is, That's where it goes bad. So I'm gonna give it a C rank. And the only reason I don't give it a D rank is because the first playthrough is still like pretty decent. But I hated it. I legitimately hated it. And the thing that pisses me off the most is how desperate Fate fans are for content. Like, they are so desperate for Fate content that they are willing to accept garbage like this and be happy that it happens, even though it's a waste of money and very clearly a waste of time and should have been done better. Well, whatever, you know. Moving on to the next one. This is a gacha I played for, I think, a week or two? Probably. Kemono Friends Kingdom. I don't even know if this is still going. Probably is still going, though I'm pretty sure it didn't go that well. Kemono Friends Kingdom is a very strange game because I think it has an issue with identity and it doesn't know what it wants to be. Because you can clearly tell the game is oriented towards kids. Like, very simple gameplay. Dialogue and story is just so, like, children's story type of writing, which it's fine, you know, that's kind of what they're going for, right? But at the same time, there's a good amount of fan service. So I'm confused. Is this game for kids or is this game for, you know, people with wallets and adults? So I think this game suffers from a lack of direction where it's like it's trying to be both very kid-friendly, but also very lewd and adult-orientated. So I'm a little bit confused. I'm going to give it a D. I do think it is by far the weakest one we've seen so far. The lack of identity is definitely an issue. It doesn't know if it wants to be a kid-friendly game or if it wants to be a more lewd game. Some of the designs are very clearly the fan service in mind. Yeah, lack of direction. They didn't really know I don't think they know what their target audience is, and that, to me, that kind of resulted in this very strange identity of being too kid-friendly but also being too lewd, and I don't think those two combine that well, at least not in this way. Also, the gameplay is overall just, you know, brain dead. And, you know, if your gameplay is brain dead, you might as well just put a skip button on it. Another game we got here, Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, I'll be honest, I did not play it that much. I played it with friends, I played it by myself. However, there was one issue. Baldur's Gate 3 is a very heavy game. It is very heavy. Not in the sense that, like, my PC can't handle it. Heavy in the sense that, oh my god, I have no space left. Like, if I have Baldur's Gate 3 installed, I cannot edit videos. Like, I legitimately cannot edit videos because I just do not have space to edit those videos. And that was an issue I was having. Because essentially what would happen is I would play Baldur's Gate, and the moment I stopped playing Baldur's Gate, I would uninstall it so that I would have space to download the VOD and to edit into videos. And that was just like, that was too much. Like, that was not optimizing for me. You know, every time I wanted to play Baldur's Gate, having to download the entire game and installing it, only to, you know, play it for like 2 hours or 3 hours and then uninstall it so that I could get back to work. Like, that was not, like, it was just not well organized. So I decided to just stop playing it, and I have stopped playing it. But I still like the game. I think Baldur's Gate is definitely an S rank. It's very fun. I wish I could play it more, but I just don't have the space for the game. If I want to play Baldur's Gate, I have to make the decision of, do I want to play the game or do I want to edit videos? And ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to edit videos so I can put content on YouTube. So I can't be playing Baldur's Gate until I get more space. So yeah, there you go. That's Baldur's Gate gets a S rank because I think it's a very good game, but I just don't have the space for it. Next one, Isekai Slow Life. Surprisingly, I think this is the best video I have, which is sad, but it's also understandable because there's not a lot of content for this game, because this game is pretty bad. Isekai Slow Life is trash. Let me put let me just put that, like, immediate. It is trash. It is the definition of a predatory game. It is a game that exists solely to suck the money out of whales. That is its purpose. That is what it does, and it does it really well. Now, in terms of actual gameplay, the gameplay is basically just, essentially, imagine a calculator but now it's a waifu. That's what this game is. It's a calculator. Every time you press a button in that game, numbers go up, numbers go big, and it's a numbers go big kind of game. There's not really a gameplay. You just collect materials, you spend those materials, make your numbers go big, spend money, make your numbers go big, spend time, make your numbers go big. And that's it. That's the gameplay, and it is fully focused on PvP, so that whales can feel good as they beat each other on who has the bigger wallet. And slowly and steadily, this game will die, just like its predecessor, which was Isekai Waifu, I think. Which also, I mean, it's still alive, but, you know, barely alive. This is that kind of game, you know. Everyone that is free to play just leaves the game because you can't play, because it's not free to play friendly. It's full whales. And then the whales are just having a dick competition of who has the smaller penis and who has the bigger wallet. Until eventually there's no whales left, and also they all leave, and the game just dies and is reborn as a new game. That will probably be, I don't know, Isekai Fast Life next. Maybe next one will be a Fast Life. But it does have good art, and it does have good waifus. Man, the waifus are... Oof, those are some S-tier waifus right there in this game. That's the only part that's a shame about the game. It has really good art and really good waifus. And also really good skins. But I would not recommend playing it. I played it for a bit. I did not spend any money. Or if I did spend some money, it was like for like one package, and that was it, just to showcase. That was about it. I would not recommend playing the game. It's bad. Next one. It's another gacha. Yay. A lot of gachas, but it's fine. We are mostly a gacha channel. Stream. Content. The Matchi. The Matchi shit. It's just another rehash of another... Look, the Matchi has had like, I don't know, 5 gacha games so far. All of them are the same. All of them are just recycling of the previous one. None of them do anything new. None of them reinvent. None of them improve. They're all the same. They're just reusing... They're just recycling the story. And I feel like every time they recycle, the story just gets a downgrade because it's just worse graphics each time. I don't know, man. I don't know why they just can't leave the Matchi alone. I don't know why they can't just stick to one gacha. I mean, I know why. It's because the other ones die, right? It's because the other ones, this content ends. So they just make a new gacha so that they can recycle the content. And that's it. Like, it's... If you played other than Matchi Gachas, this is just another the Matchi Gacha. It's not worth... The gameplay is basically... Genshin at home. It's so bad. It's very predatory, very not free-to-play friendly. If you play this game, I feel sad for you. I really do feel sad for you if you play the Matchi, because it's bad. Next one. Code Geass. I liked Code Geass. I don't know why I stopped playing Code Geass. Why did I stop playing Code Geass? Oh, I remember why. I had the eye infection. Code Geass is kind of like Arknights and Path to Nowhere. So it's a tower defense game with mechs and pilots. And I really liked it. I like the concept that that there are pilots and mechs, and that you are rolling for the pilots and the mechs. Their gacha is not as predatory as I thought it was going to be. I thought that the gacha was going to be you roll for pilots and mechs separately. But the way the gacha works is you roll for pilots, and those pilots have mechs attached to them. Some of them have mechs attached to them. So if you roll for that pilot and you get them, you get the mech automatically. You don't have to roll for the mech. You just get both of them in one go, and that does make the experience a lot better. Although it does mean that if I want a specific mech, but I don't want the pilot, I do still have to roll for the pilot. But you know, it is what it is. I think that's fine. I like the game. My one complaint about Code Geass is that I don't feel like the story was. The story had issues. So the story is divided in 2 parts. You have the story that is just a rehash of the anime, but in worse quality. And then you have the original story, which is well done and has new art and new like characters, and it's actually good. The problem is that most of it is just the rehash story, which means most of your experience with the story is bad. That's my issue with this Guild Geass. It's like, I feel like the story should have been a completely original story. I don't like the idea that you can have an entirely new character added to the roster and not barely anything changes of the story, right? I feel like when you add a new character to a story, it completely messes up with that story's flow, and you get an entirely different story. But Code Geass didn't go with that route. They just went with same story, but with a new character or a couple of new characters in it, and it just goes the exact same. Even though it would realistically not go the same, because there would be different dynamics and different reactions, because there's new characters kind of just shoved into there that are causing some of these reactions that should cause some of these reactions to be different. But overall, I'd say it's pretty decent. In terms of gacha, I'll give it a B rank. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I had to stop it because I had an eye infection, and I kind of forgot about Code Geass after that. I never and after that, I kind of just, I think I was just like, oh man, I haven't played for so long now. I'm just not gonna try it. Nikke. I played a little bit. I didn't play that much. I played it for like a couple of hours. I played it only for the collab they had with Nier Automata. And I got both characters, and I kind of just left. I had played Nikke before, though. I had played Nikke, I think, last year. And I do think Nikke is a pretty good game. I do have some issues with the story direction, but overall, I'd say Nikke is an A rank. I like that Nikke does not hide what it is, and that it is a very lewd game. And more of these gacha games should admit the fact that they are lewd at the end of the day and should just embrace it. Next one, Arknights. I don't think Arknights is that good of a game. And I know that's gonna get some people to hate me. I don't know if that was a tutorial or an extended tutorial. It was the first 2 hours or first 3 hours. I don't remember how long I played. I know it was horrible. It was slow. It was tedious. Oh my god, the tutorial just never ended. I just wanted to play the game, and the game was like, but you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this, and also, did we tell you that you can do this, and you can do that? And it was like, oh my god, shut the fuck up and let me play the game. I never seen a gacha game being that hand-holding as Arknights, and just never letting you go. And I was like, I hated it. The first hours I had with Arknights was just horrible. I did not want to play it again. I just uninstalled it. It was just, get me out of here. I don't know. I know that I'm pretty sure the game gets better afterwards, but I just can't be bothered, man. The game was such a bad experience. The first impressions were so bad, was so negative that I just can't, man. I feel like first impressions are very important in especially gacha games. And the fact that Arknights' first impression is so terrible because their tutorial phase is so long, tedious, and boring, is just, but I definitely do feel like it's not doing as much as it could, as good as it could, because its initial part is just so grating for new players. Memento Mori. This is a game that kind of caught me off guard. I saw this game in like the gacha revenue list, and I saw it had a pretty good revenue, but I never heard about it, so I got curious and I went to check it. I got surprised by how high quality the game is. Very high quality. It's not really much of gameplay. It's kind of one of those idle games where you just press skip, or you just press like one button every couple of minutes, and that's kind of it. But it has a very good art and a very good music. I like the music. I like the art. Has very good voice acting too. And I do like the direction. It's also very free-to-play friendly, which kind of caught me off guard. It does have a lot of microtransactions, but the microtransactions are not related to gacha. They're more, like features, which I do prefer those kind of microtransactions. I don't really like the microtransactions where it's, oh, pay this so that you get a chance to get X. I much prefer microtransactions that are like, pay this and you get X. And that's kind of what Memento Mori went with. They have a lot of microtransactions, but they're microtransactions that just give you stuff, you know. Oh, you want this character? You could just pay, you know, $5 and you can get the character. Instead of, you know, having to pay 100 to maybe have a chance at getting the character. Like other games do. So I do think Memento Mori is pretty good. Do I think it deserves a B rank? I'm not entirely sure Memento Mori deserves a B rank. I do think overall the game is non-existent. It is an idle game, so it's good for like passing time, and it is pleasing to look at. But again, since it's an idle game and it's for passing time, you're not really looking at it. You kind of just maybe have it in your phone or your second screen while you're doing other stuff. I'm gonna give it a C, a high C, close to B. Azur Lane. I played Azur Lane and I was surprised by Azur Lane. I didn't think it was gonna be that interesting. I still don't think the gameplay is that interesting. I think the gameplay is like the worst part of the game. But the gacha part and the waifu part though, oh boy. That's like the highlight of the game, and it's basically the best part of the game. Azur Lane is unequivocally and unapologetically a waifu game, and they know it. We see all the controversy on Twitter about one of their arts, which, I'll be honest, it's fine. There's worse stuff out there. I like Azur Lane. I think Azur Lane, I understood why Azur Lane made money. I understood why Azur Lane makes money. Azur Lane has a very good model in terms of monetization. It's the same model the League of Legends uses. I know, right? It's mind-blowing. Why would anyone use League of Legends monetization plan? Essentially, any character in Azur Lane, you can get them, given you grind enough and you wait long enough, much like in League of Legends. In League of Legends, you can get any character for free, but you do need to grind to get those resources and to, you know, get those characters. Alternatively, though, you can just pay to get them, and that's the same with Azur Lane. You can just pay and get more materials so that you can get them faster, maybe. However, where they really make money is through skins. Right, they sell a lot of skins, and a lot of these skins are spicy, and it's understandable how they make that much money. It is a collectible waifu game. It is literally just collect them all, and it's not just a waifu collector, it is a skin collector for those waifus. I understand why they make that much money, and boy, is it it is a treat to the eye. I'll give it a B rank. I don't really like the gameplay. I think the gameplay is again the worst part of Azur Lane, but I can't really deny the fact that it is a very spicy game. Next one, we got Eversoul. Eversoul, a game that I played a good amount actually. I think for 2 months, and then I kind of left, came back, and I saw the same problems and I left. Eversoul, how do I explain Eversoul? Eversoul is a gacha game. It's an idle game, so you don't really get to make decisions. The only decisions you get to make is your team composition, which, to be fair, it is relevant. You can make games that are very complex just from team composition. I don't think Eversoul is one of them. I think ultimately, though, the biggest problem Eversoul has is that it looks very generic. The story is just bad. And the waifus themselves are not very interesting. And I ultimately think Eversoul just kind of fails as a gacha. I think it's not that interesting. It's very boring to look at. I don't think the art direction is that interesting. The story is just unbearable. It's really just like, what even is this type of story? It's just, I feel like every game here has a better story than Eversoul. I think Kemono Friends has a more coherent story than Eversoul, which should tell you a lot. I think Isekai Slow Life has a better story than Eversoul, and it barely has a story. But at least it's an understandable story. Eversoul is just like whatever is going on, and I'm gonna give Eversoul a very low D. I don't think it's that bad. I think that the gameplay is slightly decent, It is fun to make your team. And I think that's all an issue I have with Eversoul. It's just a very boring, not very inspiring gacha. A lot of the designs are whatever. They're very generic, or they're like plays on genericness. Story's not very good, which means they don't really sell you characters that well. Because that's the thing that Gachas I do think need, maybe not a good story, but at least a coherent one. Because coherent stories allow you to sell characters that otherwise would not be able to sell. And Eversoul just doesn't have that, which means a lot of their boring designs are just that. They're boring designs, and there's no way for them to sell them. Outerplane! Another gacha that I don't think is that good. Outerplane! Basically, Epic 7 at home. Made by the same people who made Epic 7. I don't know what Outerplane is doing, man. I don't understand Outerplane. I don't understand why they would make Outerplane. This is basically like, imagine doing a job and then going, okay guys, what if I did the same job but worse now? and that's Outerplane. It really is just Epic 7 but worse. And it utilizes a stereotypical story of revenge that I'm not really a fan of. I don't really like revenge stories because I find them to generally be very edgy for just the reason of being edgy. Because look at me, I'm revenge, and oh, I've been betrayed, so I'm gonna be evil. Hee. Not really a fan of those type of stories. I'm not saying that that's what this game is, but I ultimately just didn't find it that fun. I found a lot of designs to be just whatever, very boring. And the EUI is just Epic 7. The gameplay is just Epic 7. And ultimately the question I have to ask is, why would I play Outerplane when I can just play Epic 7? Let's go with Reverse 1999. I was surprised by Reverse 1999. Such a weird name. I'm just gonna call it Reverse. I was surprised. I did not expect it to be that high quality. I had heard it was a very high quality gacha, but I didn't expect to be that high quality. The writing is good. The designs are good. The voice acting is surprisingly good. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I'm generally not a fan of English dubs, but they did a really good job at it. Designs are very creative. Story is also very interesting. I'm more of a waifu collector, to be honest. I like games with waifus. And Reverse does have a couple of waifus, but you can tell it's not as leaned into the waifus as other gacha games. But I'm still gonna give it an A rank. I think Reverse has a very strong first impressions. Amazing music, amazing visuals. Gameplay is also pretty fun and creative. Designs are all over the place, and I love it. It's very interesting. But ultimately, I kind of just decided to not play anymore because I didn't feel like I was gonna stick to it. Let's go for Death Must Die. If you are been watching my YouTube videos, you probably don't know that I played Death Must Die. I played it recently. I haven't played it again yet. I do want to play it some more. It's basically a combination. Imagine Hades and Vampire Survivors had a child. That's Death Must Die. It's a combination of Hades and Death Must Die. And Vampire Survivors. And it is good. Oh my god, I love this game. It's so good. It's so good. It's so fun. It's so engaging. It's so, like, chaotic. And it ramps up. And it becomes so... I love the game. I want to play it so much more. Very surprising about Death Must Die. It did caught me off guard. I saw it was going to be more towards Vampire Survivors, where you're just going around, collect some chests, get some upgrades, go more bananas. But it's a lot more closer to Hades and than it is with, it still has the Vampire Survivors where stuff happens automatically. But it's also Hades because you can manually do stuff, with your basic attacks. There's a lot of dashing. You have to move around a lot, find stuff, find events, it's very fun. There's also the gods mechanics. Very much loved it. Death Must Die. Very fun game. If you like bullet hells, I would advise you to try out Death Must Die. It's very fun, very engaging, very fun. Let's go with Slay the Princess. Slay the Princess, the game that I played recently. Is this the only visual novel I played this year? I mean, I don't play visual novels that often. I think this was the only visual novel I played Yeah, it was the only visual novel I played this year. Man, how do I even say it? Slay the Princess is the best game I played this year, by far. It is the best game I have played. Period. I completely caught me off guard. It has been so long, so many years since I've played a visual novel that brought me back to other times. There used to be a time... Man, I sound old now. I am old. There used to be a time where visual novels were a different breed of game or storytelling. There used to be a time where visual novels focused more on choose your own adventure type of storytelling, multiple choices. Choices had a lot of impact, resulted in a lot of different stuff. Visual novels were also significantly more gruesome and more gritty and more gore-like. And I feel like a lot of that has been lost in modern visual novels. They're a lot more linear. There's not as much choice making. Or if there is, it's just, you know, it's just an illusion of choice. It's not really doing that much impact. Or if there is impact, it's very minimal. And Slay the Princess is like a throwback at how old-fashioned visual novels worked, where it's like choices actually do matter, and you can get paranoid. Story is... There's a lot of times I felt like I was second guessing. I thought stuff was going to happen, it didn't happen, but actually they did happen, or is it in my head? I don't know. Oh my god, I love the game. It's so good. It was so good. I love Slay the Princess. It was... I did not expect it. It really brought me back to the times when I played Fate Stay Night and other visual novels. I kind of forget their names. But Fate Stay Night definitely is like the one that, like, it really brought me memories of like when visual novels were good. You know, nowadays visual novels are just very whatever. But back then visual novels were a different breed. And Slay the Princess feels like a callback to those times. And it was so good. I loved it. Boy, am I sad that I can't play it again, because I've already played it. However, there's gonna be more. There's gonna be a DLC, and I cannot wait for that DLC, because I want to play it again and see what the new stuff is. And it's gonna be fun when that happens. Definitely the best game I played this year, by far. If you like visual novels and you like, you know, choices matter kind of stories, try Slay the Princess. I know it doesn't look that, you know, interesting at first glance, but believe me, it is good. It is so good. Finally, the last game I played this year. The game that is still in my background as we speak. Yoink, the game that's in my background right now running. Oh man. Echocalypse. I tried this game out of a whim because one, someone recommended it to me. Or not recommended, they talked about it, like, hey, have you tried this game? And I was like, no. And two, the other way I found out about it was there was a lot of ads. I mean, there's still a lot of ads for it in my emulators. Mobile emulators are all filled with ads for Echocalypse. But I didn't try it initially because I saw it was just going to be, you know, kind of like Isekai Slow Life. It kind of felt like an Isekai Slow Life, just, you know, another whale-centric game that's gonna be boring and just, you know, very tedious or not very inspiring. Turns out this game is very close to Azur Lane. In fact, if I were to put it in simple words, imagine Azur Lane but with like better gameplay. That's basically it. Echocalypse is basically Azur Lane but with better gameplay, and I am addicted to the game. It is an idle game in the sense that it's kind of like Eversoul, meaning that as far as gameplay goes, the most you have is just setting up your team and then the game just kind of plays by itself. You know, I've been enjoying the game and I love the skins. Skins are very nice. I'm gonna give it an A rank. I think Echocalypse kind of caught me off guard. I think it's just a better Azur Lane in the sense that it has a better gameplay, but it ultimately is just an idle game. You click buttons, the game plays by itself, and then you kind of just turn it off and come back later to do the same thing again, and eventually get skins either by getting them through the free-to-play method or by you know, paying for them. You can do both. You can do both. You can get them free to play, or you can get them by paying. Free to play is a slower process, but you can still get them for free to play. And that's it. That's every game. Is there anything I'm missing? But ultimately, this is what I would put as my tier list of this year's games that I have played. It's interesting that the bottom tier is all gacha, and there's like only one gacha in the top tier. But I think that's fine. I do think that gachas overall are not very good games, with like a few exceptions here and there. And next year we can play more games. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait, no, not 4 yet. 4, 5.